Hi, Mike here, K7MCK. This video is about programming for the AnyTone D878 UVII Plus. I think this is, if you're into DMR, this is a radio that's pretty popular, I think. But it's really kind of complicated. The programming is not simple, especially for all the DMR features. So for the repeater roundabout, we do have files that would allow you to pre-program this radio so that you can access all of the FM analog as well as the DMR stations that are part of our roundabout. And since it's a little complicated, I think a video will help out with that. So let me show you what you need to do. So if you go to the programming files page on the repeaterroundabout.com, and you scroll down, you'll see that we support multiple different kind of downloads for programming radios, and the AnyTone D878 has a specific set of instructions for using it, and it's going to be multiple CSV files that you'll be downloading to actually support this radio. So the first thing you do is you'll need the software for the AnyTone. It's called a CS, I think they call it CPS. So if you go to this page, you'll see you want to get the CPS. The latest version is version 3.01, and you'll need that software as well as the programming cable for the radio. So after you've downloaded the CPS software, you're going to need find your cable, programming cable. I think this came with the radio. Hopefully you have one. It's a USB on one side, and it has the dual jacks for the audio and mic inputs for the radio, and this is what you're going to use to plug it into your computer. So when you plug it in, be sure you have it seated well. I would turn off the radio first, and then get that plug to go all the way in, and make sure it's not loose, because sometimes it's a little finicky about how far it's plugged in there. And then you can turn that on, and then that'll then you'll be able to access it from the CPS software. So from the programming files page of Repeater Roundabout, you're going to scroll down, find the AnyTone line here, and then click on the little download link here, and that'll download a file called D878.zip. And that is a file which we then have to open up and unzip the 3 CSV files that are in there. So if you're on Windows, when you open that up, you might see a window like this one, that shows the 3 files that are in the zip file. I'm just going to click Extract All and save it to a location. In my case, it's in the Downloads D878. I've done this before, so I have a number 2 after mine, but it'll download it to a folder on your hard disk, and just remember where that's located, and then we're going to run the CPS software. If you're going to operate with DMR, you'll need a radio ID, so you go to radioid.net and register. Again, this is probably beyond the scope of this little video here, but be sure you have that, and then when you are back in the CPS software, make sure that in your radio ID list you have your first ID set up to be your particular ID associated with your ham call sign. And then when you do the import, it will automatically select that ID for you. So the radio ID is programmed in here. It'll choose that by default for any of the DMR stations to be your particular ID that it will use. And before you actually communicate with your radio using the CPS, you'll have to set the COM port. So in my case, it ends up being COM port 6, and this can vary depending on how many devices you have plugged in, but you can all just try them, and if you can then do a read from radio, you know you've set the COM port properly. So the first thing you want to do then is read from the radio to go ahead and get any settings you might have had on the radio. If you don't want to lose if you want to lose the settings of your radio, you probably want to do this first, and then make sure that you can save that file to a local file later when it's done, and save that. And then when it's done, you'll get this read data completed, and go ahead and choose the save or save as option just to save away whatever you had on your radio before you did this programming. And after we've read from the radio, we're ready to overwrite it with the files that we downloaded. So you go to Tools, Import. You'll get a dialog that warns you about old versions of the files, but this is the big scary dialog you'll get. And so we want to pick out the 3 files that we've downloaded. So go ahead and find the D878.csv, that's the channel list. And then for the scan list, pick out the D878 scanlist.csv, and then for the talk groups, pick the D878 talk groups. And this will overwrite the information that's in those files that you had before. And when it's done, you'll get a little import complete dialog. And now we have all the repeater roundabout files here, and the scan list, which is the metro, north, and south areas broken out, and then a set of talk groups that are used by the DMR channels here. And the last thing to make sure before programming your radio is you have to have every channel that you're going to use in your radio assigned to a zone. So if you go to the zone list, and you're going to create a zone if it doesn't already exist. I call mine roundabout, and you can just hit you can select the first channel here and hold the shift key down, select the last channel, and then just put all of those into this roundabout channel list. And you should, right now I have 81 stations that are programmed into that zone. So now they're all these channels are now in a zone. So when you download them to your radio, they will actually be usable. Okay, so now it's finally time to hit the Write to Radio button, and make sure it says, do you want to continue? And we just select other data since we don't have the contact list programmed into this radio, and you'll get a progress dialog, and then finally a write data complete. So after you're done and it reboots, you should see a screen like this one, and you can click through the other channels, and you see up in the right above here you see the channel number. Be sure to remember that when you are logging your contacts, because we use the repeater roundabout channel numbers for the log. And if you're on a station like here, the PSRG station, I have this button on top set to start scanning, and then so you can see we start scanning until we see another station here that maybe has some contact going on. If you want to go find other people who are calling out and hunt for contacts. All right, I hope that wasn't too confusing. I know there's a lot of moving parts there, but good luck, and if you need some help, you can contact me via the email address on my QRZ page. Again, my call sign's K7MCK. And have a great time on the Repeater Roundabout weekend this next weekend, November 19th and 20th. All right, bye.